Hello, welcome to the Garden Gurus. I'm Trevor Cochran. We've got another great program for you, packed full of down-to-earth gardening advice, lots of garden inspiration. Here's what's coming up on today's show. Neville shares the secret to watering your garden smarter. Now is a great time to prune deciduous fruit trees. And Sue highlights a flavour-packed veggie of the week, which you too can be growing at home right now.
Digging around. Digging the ground. I got my spade, I got my hoe, I got my rake, and I'm ready to go.
I reckon everybody should be growing a grapevine at home. They are just wonderful climbers, very easy to grow, and of course they provide amazing dappled light when they're put over the top of a pergola like this, right through the summer months when you need it. And then there's that fruit. They deliver a great crop of fruit every year if you know how to grow them and if you prune them right now. And this is probably your last chance. I have two grapevines growing here. The larger one growing over the top of the pergola is a red globe and a smaller white sultana grapes in the corner. The red globe is incredibly vigorous and it's a great producer, but it's also more susceptible to fungal diseases. So I need to do a few things to get the best results. The pruning is all about bringing the leaders, these side branches, back to the main trunk. And my goal is to set up a structure that'll allow it to grow long, leading canes down the length of each pergola strut. If I do this, it'll contain the grapes, allowing some light in and better airflow through the leaves. Now, this is vitally important if you want to avoid diseases such as powdery and downy mildew, which can devastate your crops before they even form. Now, don't be scared to cut your grapes back really hard. They're an incredibly resilient vine. What you want to do is make sure that you just get the shape. So you can be quite brutal, get them into form. I've got it cut so each of the little leader shoots that are going to come off have 3 to 4 buds, and I'll be able to train them along each of these beams. It's all about getting them into shape. After you've gone through and cut your vine back to get the future shape it'll grow in, there's one more thing that's vitally important for you to do. And that's to spray the pruned wood with a copper sulphur mix that's a natural organic control to most fungal diseases. Now, as in the latter half of the 19th century that the French wine industry was about to collapse, southern France had a significant problem with mildew diseases wiping out the grape crops. And this was a cause for a lot of concern. Now, a French professor, Millard, came along and he noticed that all the grapes that grew on the edge of the roads didn't seem to suffer from these mildew diseases. And when he looked into why, he found out that the farmers would spray copper and sulphur over those grapes to make the grapes taste a little bit horrible so people didn't steal them. Well, he worked out that copper and sulphur were absolutely brilliant as a natural fungicide to control these mildew diseases. These days, it's a bit harder to buy the mix as Bordeaux, so you can mix up copper and sulphur in a bucket. And if you follow the instructions and spray it over the dormant bark and the wood of the vine, or paint it on, you'll really control these diseases. It turns out that this natural mineral-based control for fungal infections of grapes is also brilliant for controlling potato blight and peach leaf curl disease, which causes buckled, twisted leaves and peaches and nectarines. Now, don't go worrying if the wood starts to turn a little yellow or a little bit blue. It just means you've got a little bit more sulphur or a little bit more copper in your mix. But the truth of the matter is it's all doing good because that will make sure you have no fungal diseases this season, which means you'll end up with great crops of grapes.
Now, if you're turned off gardening because you hate weeding, this is the solution. Plant hundreds of ground covers. Don't let any area of the garden have bare soil. That way the weeds won't grow.
Today I'm visiting Henley Green Community Garden to meet up with Emma Paxton and find out how this beautiful garden came to be. So Emma, I believe you're one of the founding members of the garden. What was the inspiration behind starting it all?
We are 3 local friends and our kids left primary school. We thought, how are we going to get together in the future? So a couple of the ladies were good gardeners. I like the social aspect, the community aspect. So we said, let's start a garden. That was August 2018. We started Henley Green. We applied to council and they said, we've got a bowling green and it was no dig. You can have half that space.
And how many members have you got?
We've got 35 paid members and also a lot of other people that will come and just help out now and then. We have the preschoolers behind us who come down daily and help with the chickens, bring their grandparents down. We have morning teas, things like that. So we always find there's a lot more people around.
And what's your favourite thing about the garden?
I love the social side, so the community building. I really do enjoy just seeing people making new friendships. It's not just a garden, even though the garden's brilliant, and we do use all that produce. We share it amongst ourselves, anyone that comes to work here. It's a lot more than that.
Can I have a look around?
Absolutely, please
Wonderful.
do.
Just beneath me here, folks, is the original bowling green, and this is an excellent example of a no-dig garden. There would have been the bowling green, and then a layer of cardboard, thick. On top of that, a layer of compost, and then on top of that, the soil. And what we've ended up with are these beautiful rows of raised garden beds that are perfect for planting your crops and being raised, excellent for drainage. And this is a good concept. If you're in heavy clay soils where the drainage is terrible, you can do mounded beds like this, you control the drainage and you can add compost and control the soil. It's a beautiful thing. This garden's not just about the members, their family and friends. Back in March, when we all went into lockdown, they donated their produce to a local women's refuge and people who were struggling in the broader community. Nice touch.
Broccoli romanesco is pretty hard to miss with large lime green heads. It's absolutely stunning, and if I was growing veggies for looks alone, I'd have a garden full of it. And for the nerd in me, it's the perfect natural fractal. Nature certainly got it right this time. Well, I think a few hundred years of plant selection has helped it along its way. It not only looks good, it tastes fantastic. And I describe it as a cross between cauliflower and broccoli. One of the outstanding performers in the Metro Gardeners range from Swan Valley Herbs. It does best in a full sun position with a little space around it. About 40 centimetres is ideal, and they're ready to harvest in 14 to 16 weeks. Now, it's all about timing with romanesco. They stretch easily. So if you've got lots of plants and to avoid having to eat 8 or 10 heads at once, you can start harvesting a little earlier by removing individual florets. If romanesco gets water stressed, it tends to go to seed. You don't end up with those beautiful, tasty heads. So plenty of water and regular liquid fertiliser, that's the trick. And once you've harvested it, put the leaves to the chooks or into the compost bin, and it can be recycled into beautiful, rich soil.
Over the last few months, I've discovered just how much my garden brings a sense of normality into my life. And I find myself more eager than ever to get outside amongst the plants. And I've really been enjoying making mixed combination planters. So I hopped online and had a few plants delivered from my local nursery, and this is one of them here, and it's a brand new release for the season called Hellebore Charmer. And unlike its sisters, it won't spread everywhere. Instead, it'll stay nice and compact, just like this. And what brings a real joy and smile to my face is these flowers. And they're a beautiful rose pink, which don't shy away under here. Instead, they sit proudly above the foliage. Next up is Iris Candy Tuft, and this is a great little ground cover because it won't get overly big, which is ideal for a mixed planter just like this one. And it produces these stunning little white flowers from mid-winter all the way to about mid-spring as well. Last up is this beautiful plant here called Heuchera Lime Marmalade. Now, these are a go-to plant for me because I love using them in mixed combinations because of their beautiful, vibrant foliage. Now, all these plants require a free draining soil, so I've used a premium quality potty mix. And there you have it, a beautiful mixed combination planter that you can have by the front door, so every time you walk outside, you can have a smile on your face.
This Eureka lemon is prolific. It's producing tons and tons of fruit. And it's telling me that if I don't do something soon, next season, this tree is not going to be very happy. You see this yellow leaf, it's what we call chlorotic. If you look, there's dark green veins there. Now that's the iron being taken out of these leaves and used in other parts of the tree. And it's not good. Eventually this tree will actually end up being completely yellow if I don't go adding some iron into the soil. Citrus trees are gross feeders. They need a really complex diet and a lot of food on a regular basis. So applying a controlled release fertiliser like Troforte for citrus and fruit is a really smart move right now, because not only will it help the fruit taste sweeter, be larger and better, most importantly, it'll keep your tree healthy for many years to come.
Well, we're just on the cusp of spring, the perfect time to get out and check out your irrigation system before the upcoming season. Well, I'm going to show you a technological breakthrough that will change the way you water your garden and your lawns, and at the same time make your life so much easier. This WX8 Wi-Fi irrigation controller harnesses the power of the internet to supply water to your plants to exactly match their needs using local weather information in real time. It allows you to manage your watering from anywhere the internet is available, even when you're on holidays. You can control up to 8 zones or stations straight from your smartphone. There's 3 different start times and a 7-day selection, so you can comply very readily with any local water restrictions that might be out in your area. Download the Holman Home app to your smartphone. The system allows you to set up voice commands through Siri, Alexa or Google Assistant. From here, you can set your own automatic watering options. In other words, program your system to automatically switch on sprinklers from the scheme or even a bore. Now, one particularly helpful feature is that you can go out into the garden and use your smartphone to turn on or off various stations. So it makes it so much easier and got a bit of maintenance to check on. And if you add a rain sensor, it will turn the system off when you've had rain. It'll do it automatically, so you save water. Set up smart automations through the app to adjust your watering when certain weather conditions are met. For example, you can start watering certain zones when the mercury climbs over 30 degrees, or alternatively, stop watering when we get below a certain temperature. Well, right now is the ideal time to research this amazing controller, so you can look forward to the best ever results from your spring and summer garden.
We get asked a lot of questions here at the Garden Gurus, particularly this time of the year, and there's the inevitable pest control problems that I get asked about, and I've got to tell you, you don't set me a hard task, because you say, well, look, I want to kill this pest, but I don't want to use a chemical. I want to avoid chemicals, but I'd just like the pest gone. That's not hard. Thanks for that, but I'm up for the challenge. First up, folks, welcome to the brassica patch. Cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, to name just a few from the family, and they'll grow best in winter. And that's when whitefly loves them the most. The trick is to act early. Whitefly infestations are almost impossible to control, but stopping them before they get to that stage is as simple as a bright yellow sticky piece of paper. Now, the thing with fruit flies and whiteflies is they cannot resist the colour yellow. So whether you're using those sticky traps or this technique, and it's quite simple, grab yourself a yellow jar or bowl, some salt. This is the best way to do it. Just pour some salt in. Don't be scared to put lots of salt in. Put some water in. Fill it up close to the surface of the jar. And what'll happen is they fly over, they land on the jar, they go, oh, water. They hop in there, they drink that salt water, they collapse and drown. And that is a brilliant natural way to control them without using a chemical. Sticky traps capture a lot of different bugs, and different insects are attracted to different colours. For instance, fruit fly find a yellow trap irresistible, as does a number of others like winged scales, leaf hoppers, midges, mealybugs and winged aphids. Now, blue as a colour spectrum is very attractive to thrips and mites, and a terrific way to make your own blue trap is to do this. grab yourself a couple of colour cards, a little bit of honey on a paintbrush, just paint it around the outside. You don't have to coat it evenly, you just want to get enough on there that anything that lands on that blue paper is going to stick. And all you do is you take that, hang it in a tree, I guarantee you it'll be covered in thrips and mites if you've got them in your garden. Snails and slugs can be a real pain in the garden this time of the year, and if you want to get control of them in a nice natural way, avoid those snail pellets. They are a significant risk. They're extremely toxic, and that can be very dangerous for your favourite pets and even wildlife. A lot better option are beer traps. Beer traps are easy. The hops and yeast attract snails from a few metres away. Snails love drinking beer, but they just can't handle their drink. They fall into the container and drown. Another surefire control of snails is copper. Remember, they're mollusks and they cannot stand high levels of copper. So applying a copper spray will either repel them or kill them. You can also buy copper tape to wrap around pots and borders to control them naturally. Copper is a naturally occurring mineral in the soil. It's just one that in larger concentrations, snails and slugs can't handle. Well, there you go, and there you have it. Pest Control 101 with Cochran. It might seem familiar.
It's a very interesting climber we have here that's sort of got two personalities. It's the creeping ficus, or Ficus pumila, and it's in the same genus as the fig that we eat, the fruit, and also a whole range of really big trees. Yet here it is, there's just a small-leafed climber, and it's fantastic for growing over fences, around pots, all sorts of things, and it can hide a multitude of sins. Now, this is the juvenile leaf, but if you let it mature, it forms these really thick branches with big leaves, and it can get right out of control. So the idea is, if you want to keep it like this, clip it like a hedge, and it'll stay nice and tight and beautifully green. Now, coming up after the break, folks, we've got more tips here on the Garden Gurus.
Another essential job to do now is getting your deciduous fruit trees into shape just in time for summer and crops. And pruning deciduous trees like peaches, pears, plums and apples is very important. It does a few different things, and this is how you do it. Now, first up, what tools do you need? Well, the last thing you want is a ladder. What you do need is an extendable reach pruner. These are fantastic. They can reach up to 6 metres in the air. The poles themselves extend out to over 4 metres. And this means that you can get up into the tree without risking climbing it, climbing a ladder, falling off and hurting yourself. They just make so much sense. A sharp pair of secateurs and a lopper will be necessary. Make sure you have sharpened the blades before you prune. A simple grindstone or maybe sharpening stone will do the job. Dip the blades in some white spirit before pruning and between trees. This cleans any spores of disease or fungi, avoiding problems later on. Now, the goal here in a garden environment is to make this tree more compact and easier to actually get access to. And that means the very first job I've got to do is reduce the length of the branches around me. So I'm going to bring them back by about 50%. The second thing you want to do is remove any branches that are growing across each other. This stops branches shading each other out and reducing crops. Remember, cut on a 45-degree angle so the water runs off. And the top of the cut should always have the growth bud angled in the direction you want the branch to grow. Clean cuts are vitally important. Sometimes, though, you'll have a bit of bark rip. So get the secateurs out and clean up the cuts that are not so clean, so there's no open bark or torn wounds. The ultimate goal is to create a flat vase-shaped growth pattern for the whole tree. Now, it's also good because you reduce the number of these. These are fruit spurs. Now, you might think, well, you're reducing the overall crop. But what that means is the fruit that does develop gets a lot bigger and plumper, and even juicier. So it's well worthwhile doing this. And as my mate Nigel would say, there you go, and there you have it. Well, that's it for this week's episode of The Garden Gurus. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, the good news is we're back next week. We've got another fantastic program packed full of great garden inspiration, advice and solutions for you. I'm Trevor Cochran. See you next week with the gang for The Garden Gurus.